Okay, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, although I think it might be afternoon and evening for some of you. I'm Teresa. I work in customer success for Vestaboard. You've probably seen an email or two, or maybe even 100 from me already. Welcome to the event today. During our QA, Dorrian first plans to catch you up with where we are currently, as well as present you with some information and a special announcement. And then we'll move on to the Q&A portion. And our hope there is to answer as many of your burning Vestaboard questions as possible. We'll start with some frequently asked topics initially, and then we'll open it up for Dorrian to answer other incoming questions as well. So for now, I'll hand it over to Dorrian.
Hi, thank you, Teresa. Welcome, everybody. Looks like we've got a good number of participants. I thought it would be a little lower key today, but it looks like we've got lots of excited customers. We've got 99 people online right now, so thanks for joining. So the goal for me today is to talk about 3 things first and then go into the Q&A. We've got top 10 questions to answer before we open up questions in the chat room to ask based on what I may have said in the first 15 minutes or so. So we'll address those. And then before that, I just wanted to talk about 3 things, including an update about where we are. First thing is the Founders Vestaboard. As most of you know, we made an offer back in January to become a founding customer and created a concept called the Founders Vestaboard. That Vestaboard is going to be the one behind me, we think. It's the one I mentioned 2 weeks ago that I took from the office during shelter in place and brought it home. And the purpose of the Founders Vestaboard is to allow customers to put a quote or a tribute or any funny message that you can come up with, as many have, onto the Founders Vestaboard, and then we would cycle those messages through the Founders Vestaboard wherever that happens to go. So from my house here, it will go back to the HQ in the office. That location may move in a couple of months, and it'll follow the Vestaboard HQ wherever it goes. This is one of our EVT units, which is what we built in January, one of the 17 units. I can say and report that it's performing really well. We've made many little design changes to Vestaboard. And there it goes. We've made many little design changes to Vestaboard that often feel very significant changes. But as you can tell, the overall design probably doesn't change when people look at it. But there's lots of little design changes we make. So we've already received, I think, many Founders Vestaboard quotes. So today you'll spin some through. There's one from David Bowie, a quote from one of our customers. I have a feeling I know who that is in England. And so hopefully we'll get a few fun ones as we go through the day. I would not read too much into the sound over the internet and through my MacBook, which is sitting a few feet away. It's very hard to match the digital sound to what you hear in person. I will tell you one quick story, which is that the first time that I snuck this Vestaboard home about a month and a half ago, my son's first words, he's 14, just like you, he's been waiting for this to actually come to life. And he said, "Dad, I love how it sounds." And so that was very gratifying to put it in our house and to have him say that after all this time and energy of work. I'm going to go back to my screen here and talk through, just one sec, there we go. Talk through. So if you are not a founding customer and you're interested, there is a way potentially to become a founding customer and get your quote on the board. You can ask us about that. And for those who are founding customers, when you complete your order information form or along the way the next couple of months, be sure to get your quote so that it can go on the board forever and follow around. We're excited about it. So Nothing has changed in terms of the schedule we released. A little dramatic in the sense that we are building those first 21 units in June. We're actually building 50 units, 21 of which are going to ship to customers. We have built many of those units. Next week, we will intensifying the building of those units. We are currently anticipating now those first 21 leaving the factory next week and heading to Nashville. We've got netting, and from Nashville, they will be sent out to customers. So we've built some. We feel good about the build. I cannot say that it is without any issues. There are always little issues that I hear about during the build. This is happening overseas at our factory. But we do feel good about getting these units over to the US in the next week and then on from the US to our customers in July. We're very excited about who those customers are. I think I mentioned them on the last meeting, a few of the names, but we expect to reveal all of those names and use cases over the coming weeks. And we're kind of saving that and we're excited about it. And we really want to make sure that we are getting those units in the hands and that you're hearing about them. From there, we will move to mass production, looking like September 1st is the current date. We have a few things we're still sorting out with the factory this week and next week to ensure that September 1st is a date we can start mass production. We feel good about the forecasted units that we can build, and we feel good about this build that will allow us to do that. As I mentioned last time, a big part of what takes time is just ordering all of the supplies. And because we have many different vendors involved in supplying it, we just never know where the weakest chain might be. But that is what we are working on this week and next. Well, Ian, who is in China, is working with the factory to make sure these units for the DVT build are coming. So lots going on, but we are working towards what we said 2 weeks ago, and we will keep you updated as always as we go forward. Many questions that we got related to group number. So you'll see on this slide that there are the shipping groups that are sitting inside the portal. So I'm going to address that when we get to those questions. And then we are moving to this group A, group B, group C scenario, which you'll be able to line up from the portal. Just because we increased, working with our factory, we increased our forecasted production in September, October, and November. And I'll address that a little bit more detail in the Q&A itself. One of the things you have to do if you haven't already, I suspect if you're online today, you probably are one of the customers who have completed their order information form. That's going to give us a lot of the information we need to properly calculate any taxes, shipping. It helps us plan to have this information so that we can work with our freight forwarder and our 3PL, our third-party logistics companies, to ensure we're ready to actually deliver in September, October, November. And so please complete your order information form. Give us and the team the time to compile the information, and that way we can ideally execute a much more flawless delivery process than an R&D and build process you've seen over the last 2.5 years. Want to remind everyone about the team we are building. Aaron and Mark have joined in the last month. They have been extremely busy. You'll hear more about Aaron and Mark as we go forward. They've joined Teresa. So the three of them are really forming the ground of the basics of our customer success team. We've actually already just hired an intern for the summer to join them. And so Aaron, Mark, and Teresa will be working very hard over the next couple of months to make sure that we're ready, and then into the fall. Not only is it important from our perspective that we land Vestaboard at your door, and there's a few questions about packaging and shipping we're going to address. You know, that is kind of the classic thing. You do the pre-order, you get a product. Our goal is really to build a company that's going to support this product. I think all of you are aware that the product is unique. That's why you've given us so much patience and time. And as a result, we want to make sure that we're going to build a team that supports the product for the long term, and not just send Vestaboard to you and wish you luck. As you know, it's going to work with software, and so we've got questions about the software today. And so when we're building our organization for this company, it really is about not just making sure that we hire some people to deliver the product, to make sure we hire the right people to deliver and support the product for the long term. And that's really our main mission. And I've had the pleasure of working with Teresa for many years now at Vestaboard. Teresa and I happened to work together at a prior company, and I've had the great pleasure of working with Aaron and Mark at a prior company. And now watching them join this company is really exciting for me personally, because both Mark and Aaron were a key part of the business that we worked on together over 10 years ago. So we're really excited to be reunited. I'll tell you, it was a very timely thing to have them join. And we're super excited to get the delivery team going in the right direction over the summer as we move to mass production. Okay, I want to share a video with you, and I want to talk to you about one thing that we are announcing and that we are not going to take Q&A from, just because the nature of how the SEC regulates investments. But we are doing an investment round with our current investors, and we wanted to also find a way to include our customers. The only real way we could include our customers is through a regulation crowdfunding offer. And so we are announcing that today, and we'll be sending an email to our customers that if you would like the opportunity to invest in Vestaboard, we would like to make that available to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video, and then later today we're going to send you an email about an investment round. And then from there, you're welcome to engage with us as we go forward, and I'll keep you updated on that. So I'm going to switch over to a video.
This is Vestaboard, a beautiful smart messaging display. You control it with your smartphone or from your computer. You can use Vestaboard at home to share messages or view your calendar. You can use Vestaboard at work to inspire your teams or your customers. This is Ashley, the daughter of our founder, Dorrian. Dorrian created Vestaboard because he wanted to share quotes with his kids to inspire them when he was traveling. And he didn't want them to have just another screen. Not that digital is all bad. The wonderful thing about technology is there's always a chance to create a bit of magic. What's magical about Vestaboard is that it moves. It has this beautiful sound, and it's definitely not a screen. What's happening in the world right now tells us that it can't go all digital, that the physical world is important to us too. As a company, Vestaboard will take the best of hardware and software to bring people together and build products that connect and inspire us.
Hi, I'm Dorrian Porter, the founder and CEO. Vestaboard is a smart messaging display, and we're part of a large and fast-growing smart display market. We've received millions of dollars in pre-orders, we've built an extraordinary team, and we've done all the hard work to be ready for manufacturing. And we're about to ship to our first customers. Even though we're in a big industry, Vestaboard is unique in its commitment to gorgeous design, better software, and building products that put our customers first. We want to deliver products that inspire people for good, and we have a three-part plan to build an extraordinary company. First, we're going to ship Vestaboard to our customers, and then we're going to find as many customers for Vestaboard as possible. Second, we'll continue to develop the software that powers Vestaboard and build a recurring revenue stream. And third, we'll launch additional devices that are lower priced and that use our software platform. And because they're from Vestaboard, these products will be just as inspiring as the first. I invite you to invest in Vestaboard and build the smart display leader that connects and inspires us.
We're going to move to the Q&A portion. Teresa is going to say a few words, and then I'll get back to some key questions.
Great. Thanks, Dorrian. Okay, so now for the Q&A. If you have a question, please send a private chat message to our co-host user listed as support. You all should probably be able to see the users there. So the co-host user support if you have a question. And also please know if we don't get to your question today, we are always available. You can send us a message at support@vestaboard.com. In addition, we're very excited to announce, Mark and Aaron and I, that our new help center is up and live. It will evolve and obviously grow with helpful Vestaboard information for customers. So make sure to view that after the event. The URL is vestaboard.com/help. If you forget that, or if you don't watch this, you can just email me and I'll send it to you. I do believe we're going to send an email out, and we will include that for everybody. If you don't find your answer there on the Help Center just yet, you can again send us a message at the support email, or you can submit a support form on our website. So I think we're ready to go. Let's take our first question.
Okay, well, first I'm going to do the top 10. Is that right?
Yeah, go ahead with the top 10 topics, please.
Okay, great. So the first thing I say actually about the video is we actually just made that, and that unlike the first 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that the person in my in the photo was my daughter's calendar, but it was not my daughter. I can say with certainty that was my daughter, and it was very exciting to film a video with her this week. So what's our top question? When will I receive my Vestaboard? And will I be notified when my unit is shipped? So that schedule I showed, which I'm not going to bring up right now, but we'll make sure is available to everyone in terms of receiving the unit, will be based on your group number. So group A, B, or C. And you will be notified when your unit is shipped. We will not only be collecting this order information form, we will then be confirming your order back to you with shipping and any taxes if applicable. Unfortunately, Californians and a couple of other states will have sales tax because of the nature of our operations, where we're required to submit sales tax. And there may be certain taxes in other countries that we have to address as well, and duties. And so we need to collect the information from you. We need to then confirm your order and the amount. If you do not like the amounts, you will have the ability to request a refund of your order. And then from there, we will then be able to match our production to shipping and then notify people when a unit is shipped. Mark and Aaron are doing everything to ensure that we put in systems in place that you would expect from a company that wants to communicate well. So automated shipping notifications, any kind of things that may go wrong, alerting you to that during shipping. And we absolutely want to be able to notify you and provide a very clear path to customer support as we go to this process in the next 6 months. Second, what is shipping group number? Where can I find it? That again is inside the portal. But I would say that the order information form that we send with a link to the portal will allow you to see the shipping number. You are then going to have to go to the updates tab, check that chart that says shipping group 1, 2 is now group A, shipping 3, 4, 5 is now group B. I would say that focusing on shipping group A, B, and C and understanding where you are in that is the most important. You can go to our portal at customers.vestaboard.com. You can log in, you get a magic link back to your email, and you should be able to see your information. If you haven't never done that, you should do it. If you've done it, you can also ask for help inside that portal or email us, and Teresa and team will respond to any questions you may have. All right. Will my Vestaboard be compatible with Regions Voltage? Will the cord and adapter be included? So for all of you international customers, so for US customers, the answer is yes. For the international customers, our answer is probably, most likely, it will be included. And I only say most likely in case we've forgotten about one tiny region, but let me just show you what we're going to cover with the cord. Oh, I've got it here. So we do plan to ship the cord for the country and region that you are in. We plan to support 4 cords, type G, type B, type E and F, and type 1. Type I, for Australia and China. It will come with the unit. It is going to be a shorter cord to encourage concealing the cord. And this cord that we're using is it can be plugged in and out from either end. So you can plug it into an outlet, obviously, but you can also unplug it from the device. And so there will be third-party accessory cords that work with our device. So if you run into any installation situations where you are not happy with our cord, we will probably be able to point you to other cords for reasonable prices that will allow you to fix that situation. We highly, highly encourage you to follow our recommended installation, which I'm going to address as well, which actually I think I'll just address right now because I'm on this slide. Initially, And here comes another founding customer quote. Initially, oh, I like this, but I can't go back and I don't want to cause all my mistakes. They brought me to you. Well, I hope that's not Vestaboard. I hope that's a famous quote. Initially we were going to absolutely recommend an installed outlet behind the Vestaboard. We are moving to try to avoid that. We did have a lot of feedback that some people could not install, behind the wall like you would a recessed outlet. And so we are moving to recommending that the outlet be placed below where the frame will cover it. Vestaboard is going to ship with a cut sheet that's the size of the Vestaboard. We would highly encourage you, if possible, a couple of people have said it's not possible, to wait to cut anything and to install an outlet. We just think that's the safest, absolute safest thing to do if you plan to hide the cord. And so we feel confident in this approach. What we don't want to do is be off by a half an inch for you or anything that just causes stress. And so we highly encourage you to wait to make any changes to outlets. And as an alternative, you can always use a cord to plug it into any outlet or an extension cord or anything like that. I think I well covered that one. Okay, so for shipping, VAT, and duty. So this is a question I don't have detailed answered for. We mentioned that we are collecting order information forms. We're using that information to make final determinations of things like shipping, VAT, and duty fees. I'm sorry we have not gotten that information settled. There are many things we've done with this company that are in parallel. This was one that we have been more serial on, mostly because we're finalizing, today we kind of have a package weight finally, which we didn't have 6 months ago. So some of this information can now start being adapted as we go forward with the information we're collecting from you. So best I can say is that if you give us your order information form, some point later in the summer, we will be presenting back all of this detail back to you individually, not only based on your country, but based on your actual street address and zip code. And we'll be able to have very specific fees. And as I mentioned, and I do not want to see this, but if we present fees to you that you are not comfortable with or happy with, then you will be entitled to ask for a refund. So what happens if we go out of business? Will the unit still work? So I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years. I've had 2 other companies. Both were software as a service companies, which meant that the software lived on the cloud and we would sell that software. In the first company, we sold it to universities and colleges. And that was in the year 2000. And we got that question all the time in the year 2000. Like, there's no way I'm going to let you run our procurement software on your servers. What happens if you go out of business? I think it's a valid question. I think my plan would be to say this. We do not have a formal plan adopted today that would allow Vestaboards to continue to work. I will commit to implementing a plan, whether it's open sourcing some element of our software, or whether, quite frankly, it's running a cloud service. I'm not going to commit to this today, just in case, but to be clear, I think it's possible to run some kind of cloud service for very affordable and kind of put that away in some kind of lockbox. And so in the 2 companies that I've run, they all survived. The software continued on. No customer was ever left flat-footed with a broken device. I never want to see Vestaboard end up being a broken device. So all I can commit to today is I will take steps to provide a mechanism by which, if there was, I can't say if there was no internet, but if there was no Vestaboard Inc., that there was some mechanism for the cloud service to work, or there was some way to adopt software to make it work. And I don't have it formalized today, but by the end of the year, I will document and write a plan for that so people can understand, what is the plan if it doesn't work. I will also say, and I think it's important, I will make my hardest effort to ensure that is not ever needed, but the reason people ask the question is because you never know what goes on in the world. And so I respect and understand it's a valid question. There is going to be a way to control Vestaboard locally. It is going to require you to break off of the cloud service and point it to your own IP address. So the cloud service will point to us in the cloud. There will be a way to unlock the device and point it to an IP service, which for the technically inclined presents an answer to this question as well. And we'll provide more information about that local API, we call it, a local application programming interface that would also protect against that. Mindful of the time. Okay. Is there a list of apps that will be compatible, integrate with Vestaboard? So our strategy pretty much from the beginning has been that we are going to activate at launch an integration with if, then that service, IFTT. IFTT has hundreds of apps that are compatible and integrate with Vestaboard. I have many apps that are connected and working with Vestaboard. So Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, Google Calendar, iOS Calendar, Slack, Stripe, TeamSnap. Our strategy when we launch is to leverage IFT to see what kind of automations people are excited about and use. And we may develop automations beyond that over time, but that is our strategy at the beginning. The other integration from the beginning we will support is Slack directly, not through IFT. And if there are others that people are excited about that they're just not getting how IFT will work with Vestaboard, we will evaluate adding those to the service over time. Another founding customer message. Oh, I like Silicon Valley. Silicon Foundry is a friend, Neil Hench, and he says, creativity is thinking up new things. Innovation is doing new things. Silicon Foundry. I think they're a bit of an accelerator and they work with a lot of corporate clients to work on creativity and innovation. So love Neil and Silicon Foundry. API. So we do have an API today. I think I gave out the URL. We are quite limited in our resources. Our development team is fully focused on making sure we get the mobile app primed and ready, make sure we have the web infrastructure primed and ready. When we open up the API, what we've learned is we get a lot of questions quickly about it, and it can take some time to respond to all of them. But I think I said it 2 weeks ago, I'll say it again. docs.vestaboard.com is the beginnings of our API. And you can review those docs. You can even get access to the first version, early version of the web platform. And if you're that inclined, we encourage you to do it, and we encourage you to ask us questions and start engaging with us on it. We're not promoting it aggressively just because we don't have the bandwidth to support all of the questions we may get. Anyone who wants to help with that, have ideas around it, we're absolutely open to it. It is a functioning API today, and it certainly will be fully accessible at launch. And if you see limitations in that API and you're like, I don't get why you're not supporting this, I'm sure we'd want to hear about it. So please take us up on that, especially on this call. Maybe I didn't share it publicly 2 weeks ago, and if I didn't, great. But it is today, docs.vestaboard.com is there for you to check out. Will the app be ready soon? So I have a version of the app on my phone. We do not plan to put it on the App Store until September. We plan to use Test Flight even with our first customers. Test Flight is a mechanism on Apple, and Google has a similar one, I believe Firebase or Fire something. And we do not plan to release the app into the App Store. We think it would create a lot of questions and confusion and challenges, especially given that you have to attach it to a device for it to be fully functional from the get-go. There were lots of ideas of how we could release it without it being fully functional and let people use it, but we've decided you're going to attach it to a device. And so we're not going to put it in the App Store until people start getting devices. And with our 21 customers who are receiving Vestaboards in a few weeks, they will be actually supporting it through Test Flight. don't need to go into the details, but test flight is actually much easier to use than it ever was 10 years ago. And so it's kind of seamless to the end user. If we update the app, they get an update. What it's going to allow us to do is going to allow us to do faster updates with feedback, rather than applying to the App Store, waiting a few days, getting them adopted. We'll be able to push updates over the course of the summer via test flight. All right, how do you install Vestaboard? Does it come with a mount? And will there be instructions when we receive our unit? So the question of installation, I'll just go to this slide in case you haven't seen it. We're going to republish this specification guide. There are a few slight things that have changed, which is why you should call, email, ask if you're ever planning to build walls or take down walls related to Vestaboard. It has a mount, a wall plate in it. I'm going to share one detail that could dramatically change, which is I started my life as a lawyer. So I've always got this, I should never have been a lawyer or gone to law school probably, but I've got law in my genes somehow. And, you know, I am concerned about the placement of the wall plate by the average consumer, you know, banging into a wall with the wall plate. And so I am consulting legal advice about why does no other manufacturer that we can find ship with a wall plate? Why are we going to be the first to ship with a wall plate? But it is tooled and ready to ship and wide, and we'll send the specifications. The wall plate goes on the wall. The unit will come with two, what do we call them? Vertical rails. The unit will have them, and the vertical rails will mount onto the wall plate. The current thinking is we will ship the wall plate. It will be in its own separate box, and it will have a lot of warnings on it to ensure that you install it properly. Because you obviously can't take a wall plate and put it on a piece of cardboard and bang it in and hang Vestaboard, which is about 50 pounds, hang Vestaboard on it. And so I'm just stating that I'm going to make sure that we deliver a product that you can use and that you can hang and you can mount. I promise you that. It is an area of consultation I'm going through, and I just want to make sure that I'm transparent with you about that. But it's going to be important to install the wall plate properly on a wall. Find wall studs, mount the wall plate into wall studs. If you're using another type of wall, look up what the proper way to install a wall plate onto a wall is before you hang Vestaboard on it. It's just, you know, I give you this warning now. It's important that you follow reasonable installation steps. It's also a good opportunity. This is the only area why you might want to consider white glove installation, because the team will come in, they will take responsibility for identifying what type of wall you have, installing the wall plate, and hanging Vestaboard. Some people were wondering, well, was Vestaboard that complicated to install? Why do I need white glove installation? Well, sometimes you go get a TV or you go get something, even a painting, and you try and hang it, you don't quite get it right. So, you know, that's one way to think about how you're going to do this. Many of our customers are early adopters. Many of our customers love putting stuff on their walls. And so the only thing I can say is I encourage you to do it safely and properly. And there's probably going to be a lot of warnings on the package for the wall plate. Service and warranty, what does it cover? So everyone at least has a 1-year warranty. Many of you have a 2 or 3-year warranty. If you don't, you will receive an offer to go to 3 years. The warranty will cover the individual components, which I wish I had one to show you here, but I didn't have that ready. But as you probably know by now, every one of those character units inside the unit is its own bit. If one of those fails, you will be able to send that back to us. We'll send you out one quickly, probably faster than you send it to us, but we do ask for it back if it's broken so we can do our analysis, and we will replace it. If there are other issues, we'll walk through you with troubleshooting. Is your power on? Is your Wi-Fi connected? And if it's not moving at all, is there really something wrong with the PCB or with our microcontroller unit? We will assess and troubleshoot that, and then we will assess whether either we will service it in-house in situation, or if we will have to ask for the unit to be returned to be repaired. We obviously do not want to see those types of larger issues. Do we think maybe a bit may fail, a character unit might fail out there? It's possible. We're building lots of them, as you know, 400,000 this year. And on 400,000, there will be a few that kind of sneak through QA. And we hope not too many of them. But in terms of the overall unit, we're taking every precaution we can to make sure that the PCB is stable, the microcontroller is stable, and that you won't end up with a situation where that is uncovered. What's not covered is physical interference. So, you know, it is a piece of art to some degree. Don't put it where people are just going to come up and play with it and, you know, scratch it up. Any kind of physical interference we will not cover in our warranty. Honorable mention. So these didn't quite make the top 10, and then I'm going to pass it to Teresa for the live Q&A. From some of the questions, we just want to encourage that you wait for that final cut sheet. If you can't wait for the cut sheet, I just talked to a customer 2 days ago who was telling me, I've got my contractor coming in 3 weeks for this particular area. Then talk to us. I will probably still give you a little warning, but talk to us and we'll help you as much as we can to make it a seamless installation. If you're just doing it because you're excited, which I am, I'm very excited, please just wait, because I think it's just going to be the best thing for everyone to get it right the first time. Connecting multiple Vestaboards. There's a video we did, the McLuhan video I ended the event with last week, and that has multiple Vestaboards connected. We are not going to provide software from the get-go to allow you to send messages across multiple Vestaboards. You will be able to use a Vestaboard and have it say the same thing as another Vestaboard. That will be easy with the software. You will not be able to coordinate messages across multiple Vestaboards unless you use our API and figure that out with your own developers. So there's technically a way to coordinate messages across, you know, and make them dance and do whatever you want. There's technically a way to do that. There won't be any software out of the box that we provide. And third-party apps. So we're encouraging the use of our API, which will allow people to control Vestaboards programmatically. When people develop fun apps for their own Vestaboard, we know the very next thing will be people asking if they could bring those apps to other customers. So let's say someone comes up with a fun word game for their Vestaboard and they're enjoying it for their Vestaboard. We probably will want to find a way to allow other people to use that third-party app for their own Vestaboard. Other than the IFT at the beginning, there's going to be no mechanism for us to do that this year. It's absolutely something we will want to look at over time. First things first, let's deliver Vestaboard. Let's deliver high-quality software that you can use and be delighted with your Vestaboard. And then we absolutely want to look at expanding the use of the API and allowing third-party app integration directly. All right, lots of talking. Back to Teresa.
All right. I did notice it's 1:12 my time in Montana, so it's 12:12 their Pacific timing. If people want to stay on for maybe 10 minutes extra so that we can get a few more live questions, I'm happy to stay. I think we all are happy to stay. I just wanted to let everyone know because it's getting close to 1:15. During Dorrian's top 10, we talked about the shipping groups and the new shipping letter. I just wanted to address this really quick before we have any of the other questions come. Some of you are concerned about your shipping group saying TBD. Don't worry, it will be updated in July. Once we get everybody's address and everything's confirmed, we will have that updated for everybody. So if you are one of those people, you're welcome to email me directly and I can help you specifically, but it will be updated in July. Okay, it looks like we've had a few questions about the bits, the character units, and customers would like to purchase extras. When will they be available for purchase and what will be the unit pricing on that?
So we are going to have available extra bits primarily in case any customer needs a replacement. We do not plan to sell them directly this year currently. We have had lots of inquiries about the individual character units. You know, what goes into Vestaboard is also the electrical that powers those bits. and we don't have any plans to do any kind of custom Vestaboards or anything like that. So anyone who's buying those character units would need to know, you know, how to then integrate them into their own PCB or their own wiring system to run it. We've had lots of inquiries, and we're not going there yet. And if we were to price them later, you know, I don't have a good number. I would say it's likely not going to be more than $30 per bit, and likely not going to be much less than $20 per bit. But that's something that we are planning to address down the road. And first and foremost, we're going to focus on making sure Vestaboard gets shipped to you as a customer.
Great, thank you. Can you speak a little to stress the stress testing that's gone on into Vestaboard? We have a few questions similar to how long could the Vestaboard continuously run before a bit fails? Got it.
Yeah, well, we think we've done a really good job there. In fact, Ian and I just exchanged a little voice, a little conversation about this, that we do feel really good about the robustness of the bit. We have run them to millions of cycles when we were doing our prototyping. And what we're seeing out of the production bits that we made we first made production bits last August, then we made a whole batch in December, January. Now we've made another 6,000. Overall, we feel really good about their longevity. You know, we're not promising that it's millions of cycles, but just keep in mind that millions of cycles means that if you ran a Vestaboard every hour for every day, you could run it for 8 centuries before, assuming there were no earthquakes, you know, gravity didn't exist, but you could run it for a long time. So we feel good about the longevity of the bits. Again, there could be errors with a bit in everyone's Vestaboard. Maybe everyone will have one error at some point or a couple, but we will replace those as part of the warranty. And in general, we feel really good about the robustness of the character units.
Okay, I've seen a few questions about Vestaboard use cases in corporate settings. Can you discuss or give a couple of examples of how our corporate partners are planning, if we're going to use corporate partners with Vestaboard, with the software to allow for multiple users controlling the board, etc.?
Yeah. So we definitely have administrative software that will be a part of the offering for anybody, but also especially companies where people have multiple devices, and being able to give different controls for different devices to different people. So that's something we will accommodate for the corporate use case. Corporate use cases for us fall into 2 main settings still, which is a hospitality use case. So that's maybe a hotel, an event center, obviously anything where there's a group setting. And then second is the workplace. And so we actually think, even though right now, obviously with the current economy and the current situation with the pandemic, you know, and watching as we slowly go back to some sense of normal at some point, we think signage will be a very popular part of redesigning workplaces and redesigning hospitality. And so in fact, long-term, we think Vestaboard will be well suited for different use cases. I think everyone on our team would love to have a Vestaboard so that when we change it in headquarters, it can change everywhere. That is a use case I'm very excited about. The ability to influence multiple workspaces with one message, I think is a really exciting use case. And I think it's a great opportunity for messaging displays in general, maybe even with different forms than Vestaboard, this idea that it can influence workplace and culture.
Dorrian, you talked briefly about packaging and how we've just nailed that down. Can you speak to the packaging considerations that have gone on? Some of the international customers are asking about the robustness of the Vestaboard in transit and the preparations that are being made to ensure they arrive in perfect working order.
Yeah, I think we can not say for 100% that we are there. We are going to ship a number of units individually in the coming weeks. As you all know, our #1 mission is to make sure they arrive safely. And if they don't, or if we encounter areas that we think are problematic, then we will redesign packaging, which doesn't take that long compared to this product, to accommodate that. So obviously getting Vestaboard delivered properly. I think this is an area where you will be glad that that we're taking the time we need to, rather than just getting it out, because we have to do it right. And we have to make sure that, you know, given the size and the weight and the delicacy of the unit to some degree, that we package it properly, and it arrives. And, you know, we also run up into different constraints with packaging. You know, if it hits a certain threshold, maybe 2 people have to bring it in. We don't really want to hit that threshold, but we, number one, want to make sure that it arrives safely and soundly to the door.
Okay. Will there be the ability to set or change how quickly each of the tiles or the flip slats flip, essentially changing the sound it makes to faster or slower?
No, so it is technically possible. We might enable that with a firmware change down the road, but for release and for the foreseeable future, we are releasing one version of the way the firmware is controlling Vestaboard and controlling the speed and change of the bits. And so the way it's going to be released is just in one version. I will say this, that I think depending on how it gets used and different environments, it's going to sound differently. So I'm kind of delighted by that, but there's going to be no way to change the speed of the bits unless you, I guess, hack Vestaboard, which we don't encourage.
There are some great questions coming through about the Teams integration beyond Slack. Can you talk a little bit about the integrations of future services? I know you touched on it a little bit with the apps before, but those specifically.
Yeah, well, I can think of one customer for sure that would love to get, I always expect that to say something like, hurry up, you're taking too long or something. It says, oh, it's a quote from Lucretius. So Teams integration, I know one customer for sure would love to have Teams integration out of the get-go, so we will look at that. I could see that being extremely valuable. I don't have anything more to say that it's not currently slated on the roadmap to ensure we're ready for launch, but it's something that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, if we've got customers that have already installed a recessed outlet, will the power cord still work for that setup?
It is possible that the power cord we ship will not reach the recessed outlet, but I am confident that we could find a alternative power cable that will work for that outlet. And so that would have to be the answer in that scenario. I would wait to see if the cord is going to work first. But I suspect that it can be, that situation will be easily accommodated. It may end up costing $24. If you're particularly upset, you can text message me about it. Don't message Teresa about it. Send me a message. I want to make sure everyone's happy, but that's one of those areas that we just kept finalizing, trying to get to the right answer.
Okay, let's take 2 more questions. It's 1:22. I'm sure some people might have things going. Can I add a second board to my order?
Well, we love that question. So the answer is yes. Whether we can ship it to you this year, I think the answer is probably not. I will say that we do need to collect some more balances out there. So as we're building this business, not everyone has paid their balance. Not everyone might like the shipping and taxes charge. I will talk to the team about how we will prioritize any cancellations. And it certainly makes sense for us to prioritize customers. If anyone orders today, we're estimating February of 2021, and we're not actually accepting orders on the website today. And so we'd probably give you that estimate, and then we'll talk about a waitlisting program. If we could ship your units together, group A, B, or C, we would love to do that. It will depend on the final count as we go into the fall. And we also have a commitment to our founding customers that they also get bumped up if there's any cancellations. So before we commit to second orders from anyone, we want to make sure we're true to the idea that we said in February, which was that if there are cancellations, the founding customers will be able to advance. Even though they're group A, group B, group C, again, with no specific promises yet, you know, it's not like we're going to make 750 in one day. So there will be there is going to be an order to things. And so we'll just look at that when we evaluate second orders from customers, which we would love. I do believe, by the way, that we will see significant growth in orders once these units are in the hands of our customers, not only from our customers, but through word of mouth. And the fact that all of you place so much faith in us, you know, without seeing the product, you know, I obviously can't wait till more people see it in a setting that they live in, and can share the excitement of Vestaboard from the setting that they live in.
All right, last one. Can it be put on a stand instead of a mount?
Yeah, so actually that's what I should have mentioned with mounting. Is that our last exciting question? I should have mentioned with the mounting. So the one great thing about Vestaboard is we ship with 2 rails, but those rails are removable because they're using what's called a VESA mount standard. And I think it's just worth explaining that pretty much every TV, every computer monitor comes with the VESA mount standard. And then there are a number of vendors who sell VESA compatible mounts. You need to know the millimeters of what our VESA mount is, and that will be in our spec sheet, but I'll tell you now, which is 400 by 400 millimeters. That's how far apart the 4 holes that you screw into are on the back of our Vestaboard. And so then you need to find a VESA compatible 400 by 400 mount. There are some beautiful display stands. Well, there's a couple of beautiful ones. And then there's lots of display stands that will support 400 by 400 VESA mount and support the weight of the Vestaboard. So particularly if you're planning to use Vestaboard in a trade show or in a location where you can't mount it, or on a tabletop, there's lots of tabletop stands as well that can sustain that kind of weight. You purchase a VESA compatible mount and you make sure that that VESA compatible mount is 400 by 400. That'll be in the spec sheet, and you'll know exactly what you need to buy.
Great. Amazing questions. If we didn't get to your question, we apologize. We can't keep you on all afternoon, but check back to the Help Center as mentioned before, which is again, vestaboard.com/help. And in the coming days, we will try to add those FAQs and get those questions answered for you. Alternatively, you can also email me at support, but we are gonna try and beef up that Help Center for you to be your main resource.
Well, thank you everyone for joining, and I look forward to hearing from you, and most importantly, let us do the work to make sure we deliver Vestaboard to you.
Thanks for attending, everybody.
Thank you.